My name is Daniel Wynn, and by day I invest in sports cards, but by night I make videos about investing in sports cards. I am the great curator. Join me on my journey to break even in the hobby that we all love.
What's up, everybody? I am the Great Curator, and welcome to my channel. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing cost basis and how it relates to negotiating for a card when you're trying to make a deal either at a show or a private deal offline. But before we get into that, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button if you find this video useful. These things encourage me to continue to make this content, and it gives me the feedback that I need to kind of tweak things a little bit and see what I can do to produce quality content for the community. Okay, so let's just get right into this here. When I first started collecting cards, I would go to a card show, and the first thing that I learned was to check eBay comps, right? If you see a card you want, you check the eBay comps to see what the going fair market value of that card is, and you want to pay within that range, right? And this was great when the market was going up, because then you would just check to see what the current price is, and usually whatever the seller had, usually they had a good profit margin on it. So it was easy to transact that way, okay? If you were willing to pay whatever the eBay comps were, or then you would get the card. If you were trying to negotiate, maybe you get it for a little bit less, and then you get a better deal than as if you would have bought it on eBay. And this is great. This is a great way to value cards when the market is going up. However, when the market is going down, which it does, okay, because any market, any investment market goes up and down, it rides in waves, right? So when the market starts going down, all right, this is where the eBay comps become challenging. And this is what a lot of us saw in the last few months, from probably, I would say, March to now. Things are starting to tick up a little bit, but from like March, April is when they started to kind of go down, and then the eBay comps weren't making any sense anymore, because so many people had gotten into the market in January and February, and they were paying those really high prices, and things went down dramatically over the next couple months. That's when we kind of saw panic. That's when we kind of saw kind of a standstill in the market, because on one hand you would have the buyers trying to buy cards at eBay comps or lower. Then you have the sellers, on the other hand, who had bought the cards at a high cost basis and were not willing to take a loss. They were still trying to get the cards because the card values at those February prices, because that's either they had a lot of money into the card and they were going to take a loss and they didn't want to do it, or they just thought the cards were valued that much, okay? And I'll give you an example. The card that I brought out today is this Kobe 1996 PSA 9. Now, in January, February, these were going for like 15 to 1800, I think, was the highest price, right? Then after his Hall of Fame induction, these cards kind of went down dramatically, and now they're hovering right around the $400 to $500 range, okay? They transact a lot. There's a lot of them, and they go up and down, but usually about that $400 to $500 range. So you imagine you're trying to sell these, right? And you're into this, let's just say you're into this for $700, $800, $900, $1,000, maybe more. How are you gonna sell this at the eBay comp when it's $400, right? Right? And then that was the stalemate that we saw, the game of chicken between buyer and seller. Sellers didn't want to sell their cards at eBay comps or lower than whatever they paid. Buyers didn't want to pay more than that, all right? So that's when you kind of saw a lot of frustration in the market around, I would say, probably May, June. A lot of people made videos about like how people were just trying to trade at shows, how there was no market, no money coming in and out of the market, nobody was spending, nobody was buying. There's a lot of reasons for that, but I think primarily it was because the comps were off, all right, from what people were paying. So, I'll do a separate video on how I kind of adjusted and how I kind of navigated that time in the market. But what I want people to understand from this video is that when you go strictly off of eBay comps, you are only getting half of the story. You're only getting half of what this card is going for today. You're not understanding the seller's side you don't know how much they paid for it. You don't understand their cost basis. If their cost basis is high, then they can't do anything, and you can't get mad at them for not wanting to take a loss. Same reason that they can't get mad at you for not wanting to pay what they paid for the card or what they think the card is valued at, right? So when you go into the negotiation, it's often misunderstood that if you go into a negotiation, you want to get the best deal you can. You want to win. You want to crush the other side and try to get one over on them, right? That's the mentality that a lot of people have going into negotiations for a car deal, for a house, for a car, whatever it is, okay? You want to try to win. But I take a different approach, okay? And that's what I kind of want to teach you guys today on a different approach. When you come into negotiations, you'll see that you can probably get more positive results if you do this. Whenever I go into negotiations, I'm not trying to crush the other side. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to understand what their interest is, what their point of view is. So if I can understand their point of view, all right, I can see how it matches up with my own interest, all right? Once I identify their interest, I can match it with my own interest. And if I can align those interests towards a common goal, the common goal being to execute a deal, to close a deal, then it will make the negotiations a lot easier. It won't be so contentious, like we're fighting each other. Instead, we will be working together to try to come to some type of agreement, okay? And the way you do that when you're doing car deals is you have to understand the seller's cost basis, all right? So when you go up to a person at a card show, or if you're talking to somebody in a private deal, the first thing people usually ask is, what are you asking for this, or what are the eBay comps, okay? Both those two things, irrelevant. What you have to ask them is, what do you value this at, okay? What do you value this at, all right? That's not the same thing as saying what the eBay comps are. When you ask somebody what the eBay comps are, you're asking what are people currently paying for this card. When you ask somebody how much you're asking for this card, okay, they can throw out any number they want. But if you ask them, what do you value this card at? You're really asking them, how much money do you have into the card, okay, and how much do you want for it? It's kind of like two things combined, two questions combined. What are you valuing this card at? So let's just say that I have this Kobe Bryant. Let's just say I have this at, I'm $700 into this. The current eBay comp is $400. And if you ask me what I value this at, I probably say my value is how much money I have into the card, my cost basis. So I'm gonna tell you $700, $750 on this, okay? That might not be what the comp is. That might not be what it's currently going for, but that's what I value the card at, all right? And if you do that, then you're showing the seller that you're not stuck to those eBay comps, all right? You want to know what the seller is asking for the card, what they're valuing it at, so that you can base your negotiations around that, all right? So once you determine what the cost basis is for this, then you can understand how you want to go about negotiating the deal. So let's just say the cost basis on this card is very high. Let's just say it's a $700 cost basis and the current comp is $400, okay? Rather than just saying, well, no deal, I don't want it, okay? You can negotiate and come up with some alternative solutions, okay? Maybe you go in a little bit on cash and then you make up the rest on trade, okay? Maybe you'll pay $200 cash, but then you can give the guy a card that's worth $500 in trade value, possibly, okay? And then your cost basis in that card is maybe $100, okay? So you're still so your cost basis in this card, if you purchase it, will still be at that $300 range under comps, but you'll give that guy something that he can do to try to make up his for what he's trying to get out of it, okay? That's one way to kind of fill the gap in. Another way would be for you guys to kind of like negotiate around that. Maybe you give him a higher price, maybe he throws in some other cards and you make the deal bigger. There's lots of different ways you can work it, but if you understand what their cost basis is, you're not going to beat them up so much over those comps, okay? So many times that I see that people, they're at shows and they say, well, what's the comp on this? Sorry, I can't pay that price. I have a lot more into it. I can't sell that price for whatever it is. And then they just walk away. And that's fine, but you can really miss out on some good opportunities that way. okay? Remember, when you go to card shows and you're doing deals with people, you want to use that as an opportunity to build a relationship with that person, and maybe you can do deals in the future, all right? And sellers, they don't want to do deals with people that are just going to ignore or try to make them lose money, okay? You may not care about that, but believe me, you know, this whole market is about building relationships. So if you can go into a deal or a situation where you acknowledge that the seller, you know, you ask the seller if he has a good cost basis on this or what his cost basis is. And if it's a bad position for him, and if you can try to work a deal, if you really want that card, you can try to work a deal around the cost basis and not the eBay comps. And then you can probably come to some type of fair agreement. I've done many deals this way and it's worked out for me very nicely. And that's pretty much how I navigated those choppy few months from like April to June, when everything was just crazy. That's how I got a lot of my deals done, by approaching it from a cost basis point and not an eBay comp. If you go straight towards the eBay comps, it's gonna be a yes or no. Either I get it for this price, which is eBay comps, or I don't, okay? And you walk away. And you're gonna miss out on a lot of opportunities that way, and you're gonna piss a lot of people off, you know, if you kind of take that cold approach. But if you go to the seller and you try to understand what their cost basis is, okay, try to acknowledge if they're down on a card, try to work with them to come to a deal that is fair for both sides. Not only will you build a good relationship with that seller, okay, which could lead to deals in the future, but maybe you can work a deal where you can get that card that you want, okay, at the price that you want for it. So that's kind of like my rant today, guys. I just wanted to talk about cost basis. Try this at your next show. I guarantee you, if you try this at your next show, you will find positive results. Don't go to somebody and say what the eBay comp is, or ask them what the eBay comp is first. You can ask them later, but first try to see what they're valuing the card at. Try to determine what their cost basis is, and then you can refer to the comp as a data point, okay? Believe me when I tell you, sellers don't want to hear comps. They're sick of it. They're sick of it. So try this different approach. I think it's a little bit easier. It will help the negotiations, and I think it will lead to a positive discussion going forward. So that's my rant today, guys. If you like this, if you understand this, if you have any follow-up questions, add me on Instagram at The Great Curator. Leave comments down below. I will read them. I will respond to them. I appreciate all the feedback that I get from you guys. I'm going to try to make these videos on a weekly basis, depending on the feedback that I get. So please, let me know what you think about it. If you want me to make any adjustments, maybe I'm talking too fast or whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. I will read them. I appreciate all the support, guys. Appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.